Secret signs he thinks about you a lot more than you know. In this video, I'm gonna tell you how to know if a guy truly likes you and thinks about you a lot. It's Sabrina, your personal love advisor from A New Mode, the channel where we show you how love actually works. So when you're seeing a new guy and you're thinking about him a lot, as we often do when we're seeing someone new, you wanna know if he's on the same page as you. You wanna know if he's also thinking about you. But this isn't really the kind of thing that you can come right out and ask him. The first video I ever filmed for this channel was 16 signs a guy thinks about you a lot. And that is the most popular video on this entire channel by far, because that's a question that a lot of women are asking themselves. This is a big point of concern. I wanted to make another video on that topic for two reasons. The first is that was the first video I ever filmed for this channel. So I was super nervous when I was filming it, and I'm sure you can tell if you go back and watch it. Number two, I wanted to make a shorter list because when you have a long list like the previous video, which had 16 signs, it can be easy for some women to just hold on to one or two signs and use that as hope that maybe the guy does like them back, when in reality, you have to take the list as a whole. You have to see if a guy does most of these things most of the time. So with this video, I want to leave no room for error, no room for deluding yourself. If your guy does the 5 things that I'm gonna share in this video, it means or even if he does 4 out of 5, it means that he definitely likes you and he's definitely thinking about you a lot. So there's no more questions to ask after that. And in this video, I'm also gonna share some meaningless signs that a guy's thinking about you. So basically signs that seem to mean something, but actually mean nothing. So make sure you watch this video all the way until the end. Real quick, if you like this video and find it helpful, please give it a like and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell so you don't miss out on any new relationship content. And make sure to join the A New Mode mailing list. Eric and I have an amazing newsletter. We deliver our best content straight to your inbox every day. You can sign up at anewmode.com/subscribe. We'll include the link down below and you guys are gonna love it. So definitely check that out as well. And be sure to follow me on Instagram at A New Mode. Okay, let's get into it. First, I'm gonna give you the meaningless signs that a guy thinks about you a lot. So basically, these are signs that seem to indicate that a guy likes you, but really don't mean anything. Number one, he watches your stories on Instagram, or he watches on Snapchat or TikTok or whatever the case may be. I get asked this question so often, but the fact is, if a guy is watching your stories on Instagram, it really means nothing. It can mean that he's just bored. You have to take things into context. So if this guy is reaching out to you a lot, if he is making plans to see you often, if he's calling you, and he watches your stories on Instagram, okay, then yeah, he's probably thinking about you a lot. He probably does like you. But if a guy is not texting you back, if he disappears for days at a time, if he just doesn't really seem interested in you at all, if you're the one that's doing all the pursuing, but he watches your stories on Instagram, that doesn't mean anything. That does not mean he likes you, does not mean he's thinking about you. It completely doesn't mean anything. So take it in context with everything else. Number two, his texting habits. Whether a guy texts a ton or hardly texts at all, texting is a meaningless barometer for your relationship. And unfortunately, so many women place way too much weight on a guy's texting habits and use that to try and figure out how he feels. Most men hate texting. The only reason they text is because they have to, because you want them to text, because that's important to you. Guys don't like texting in general. So you cannot measure how a man feels about you based on his texting habits. You cannot measure how he feels based on the quantity of texts exchanged. You measure how he feels based on the quality of the time you spend together. A guy can be texting flirty banter with you back and forth all day long. That doesn't mean anything because he could be doing that with 10 other girls. How does he act when he's with you? How does he prioritize you? And when you're together, is it real quality time or is it just hooking up and, you know, the flirty banter? The point is, we all need to stop obsessing over the text and instead just pay more attention to the quality of the time spent together. Number three, he says he really likes you and he's thinking about you. Okay, that's great, that's sweet, but how does he act? It's very easy for a guy to say, oh baby, I've been thinking about you so much, oh, you're always on my mind, and then like disappear for days at a time. So if he says that to you, that's a great way to keep you on the hook, that's a great way to keep you around for the times when he does want to see you, but if he really was thinking about you a lot, you would have heard from him. You can't just take a man's words as fact. You have to look at the whole picture. You have to look at his actions. It's very easy to say things. It's a little more work to actually do things. So do his actions sync up with the words? That's what you really need to look at. Okay, now let's talk about the secret signs he thinks about you a lot more than you know. Number one, he's consistent. If someone is thinking about you a lot, then they're gonna reach out to you a lot. They're gonna reach out to you consistently. Just think about this on a rational level. I mean, if a guy says, oh, I've been thinking about you, but then like he disappears for days at a time, that doesn't make sense unless unless he, got locked in a hole somewhere with no phone or no service. It doesn't make any sense that a guy is thinking about you a lot, but not contacting you. When a guy genuinely likes you, when he's truly thinking about you a lot, he's gonna reach out to you a lot, and he's gonna do it consistently. He's not gonna be in and out of your life. The guys who are in and out and sending mixed messages and being wishy-washy or playing hot and cold or whatever you wanna call it, those are the guys that are usually ambivalent about you. He's not really thinking about you, but sometimes when he's bored or sometimes when he wants to get his needs met, you pop into his head, and that's when you hear from him, and that's when he's laying on the charm. Again, you have to take the full picture into account. The reason women get so confused in relationships is because they look at these pieces individually rather than putting the whole puzzle together. And just remember, if someone's thinking about you a lot, you're gonna hear from them. They're not just gonna be thinking about you and saying, nah, but I'm just not gonna contact her, because that doesn't make any sense. When a guy truly likes you and is thinking about you, there is none of this confusion about what he's up to and how he feels. Number 2, he remembers everything. What makes us remember something? Why is it you can remember exactly what you were wearing the night that you met your boyfriend 2 years ago, but you can't remember what you wore to the dentist 2 days ago? It's because when something is meaningful and important to us, we think about it over and over. We replay it over and over in our minds. And that's why we can remember every single detail about what happened, about the interaction, about what we talked about what we did, about what we were wearing. If he remembers things that happened when you were together, if he remembers the things that you told him, it's because he's thinking about it a lot. He's thinking about you a lot. He's replaying your interactions in his mind, and that's why he can remember these things. When someone doesn't mean a lot to us, or when we don't like them that much, then yeah, okay, we're nice in the conversation, we're pleasant, we nod along, we ask the follow-up questions, but we don't really store that information in a place that's easily accessible. So that's why you might find with some guys where you can't really tell how they feel about you, you might be having the same conversations over and over again. You may have told them something, and then he's asking you about it again a few weeks ago. You told him, about your job and this whole big project you did, and then you kind of make a passing comment about it, and he's like, oh, you had a big project at work? And you're just like, yeah, we had a whole conversation about this. When a guy really likes you and is thinking about you, he remembers the details. I just remember there was this one guy who I, had a crush on years ago, and I had mentioned to him that I wrote a book, and this is my first book, He's Not That Complicated. You can get it at he'snotthatcomplicated.com if you wanna check it out. And I mentioned it to him, we had a whole conversation about it, and then weeks later, I made a comment about the book, and he was like, oh, you wrote a book? And I was just devastated, because I knew what it meant. It meant that he didn't really like me. He was fine, he was being flirty, he was being nice. When we like someone, we remember. You don't forget things, especially not big things like that. Number 3, he's always around you. Now this applies to a guy that you're not dating yet, but want to be dating. When a guy likes you, you'll notice he's just always around you. He's just always there. If you're, at a party, he always just kind of floats his way right to where you are. You might notice that he shows up at events where you're gonna be. No matter what, you just notice that you see him a lot, that he just happens to pop up places, that he's always around. This isn't just a guy thing. Girls do this too. If you see a really cute guy at a bar, don't you find that even if your drink is full, you all of a sudden feel like, oh, I just have to go to the bar and get another drink. So you chug what you have and go to the bar to order another drink and happen to just slide in right next to where that cute guy's standing. Or if one night you're feeling really lazy, you just wanna stay home and watch Netflix, but then your friend tells you that this guy you like is gonna be at this party she's going to, and then all of a sudden you have renewed energy and you get dressed and you show up at the party. Because when we like someone, we just are drawn to them. We wanna be where they are. So if he likes you, you'll just notice that he's around a lot. And when you are in the same place, you'll notice he finds excuses to talk to you, excuses to be around you. When we like someone, we're just drawn to them. They just have a magnetic pull over us. Number 4, things escalate. So going back to the previous point, okay, great, he likes you. You notice he's always around. Now, if he really likes you and he's really thinking about you, he's gonna take it to the next level. Things are gonna escalate. So you go from, okay, exchanging glances, exchanging smiles, to he comes up to you, he flirts with you, to he asks for your number, to he texts you, he calls you, he initiates a date, you go out, you hang out, you go out again, you start going out more frequently, you meet each other's families, you meet each other's friends, and things escalate. When a guy truly likes you, things progress. They move in an upward direction. When a guy is unsure about you, that's when a relationship will kind of just plateau. It'll stay stuck in the same spot. That's when you try to have the conversations with him about what are we, where's it going? And he says, I don't like labels. You basically just have no idea where you stand with this guy, and the relationship just feels like it's not going anywhere. When a guy truly likes you, it escalates, it deepens. Things move in a certain direction. They don't just stay stuck in the same spot. Number 5, you're not worried about how he feels. Like I always say, when a guy likes you, it's obvious. If you have to ask, you already know the answer. If it's not obvious and you really think that he does like you, then maybe it's possible that he's terribly shy or terrified of rejection, in which case, just be flirty, plant some seeds. I said plant, don't do all the gardening, don't do all the work for him. Be friendly, be warm, smile, be receptive. If you do that, that should be all it takes for him to get over that and make a move. And if not, then he's painfully insecure and you probably don't want to date a guy who can't even get over himself enough to just ask you out. If you're the one that's always worrying and wondering and obsessing and looking at the clues and trying to figure everything out, then it's a pretty clear sign that you are not on the same page. When a guy's thinking about you a lot, those thoughts translate to action. So he is consistently showing you through his actions, through his words. He is a presence in your life. He's just there. There's no room to doubt. There's no room to wonder. One thing I say a lot is, people say, oh, relationships are hard, they take work. That's true, but the work doesn't come from the, does he like me? Like, it doesn't come from figuring out how a guy feels. That's the easy part. When he likes you and you like him, that's the easy part. The work comes in other areas. That comes later. If you're putting so much energy into figuring out how he feels, then it's because he probably doesn't feel the way that you want him to feel. The best thing you can do is just assume that the guy that you like likes you back. If anything, this will just create a much more positive energy to be around. And self-fulfilling prophecies do work, because if you're telling yourself he likes me, that means that you're not stressing, you're not obsessing, you're not worrying, you're not wondering. You're just kind of at peace with that feeling of, okay, he likes me. Great. And because of that, you'll just radiate much more positivity. It'll feel good to be around you, and that probably will cause him to like you more. You also need to adopt the belief that you'll be fine no matter what. If this guy likes you, if he likes you back, great. If not, you'll be fine. It won't be the end of the world. Maybe you'll be disappointed if you discover that he doesn't feel the way that you want him to feel, but you'll be okay. You'll get through it. What did you think of this list? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Was there something that I missed? Please let me know in comments. I read them all and I try to get back to everyone. For more relationship advice, check out anewmode.com, and more videos on this channel. Follow me on Instagram @anewmode. Subscribe to our newsletter. The link is down below, and I will see you guys in the next video.